Hi guys, it's Maggie with no makeup, a sweatshirt, just barely out of bed with a private message just for my friends in the Discord. Now, I just wanted to talk for a second about toxic fandoms. It's very important that we do call out the behavior of toxic fandoms and toxic fans and identify when does being a fan of something cross over into a cult. We're living in an increasingly secular society. And whether or not you're a religious person, I'm sure you've noticed that a lot of things that people used to be a fan of are now religiously held beliefs. People who don't like or do like the new Star Wars movies have very strong philosophies of why or why not they don't hold up. People who believe in the Snyder Cut, despite no evidence of it actually existing, have a faithful zeal that truly one day it will appear as if it's the new version of Christ coming again. Now, to me, that's very sad, and I wish these people would find faith in something, whether it's faith in God or faith in themselves as opposed to fiction. But more importantly, I wanted to share my story with Nerdfighteria. Now, those of you who aren't familiar, Nerdfighters were the fans of the Blog Brothers, John and Hank Green, Hank's music, John's books back in the day, and I used to be a die-hard Nerdfighter. But there was something interesting, although I felt perfectly okay with showing my nerdy side and going to Wizard Rock concerts and things like that, I felt increasingly within the company of these people insecure about sharing my faith. And there was one friendship I made that was wonderful with someone who ran up to me and gave me a hug at a Wizard Rock show and said, "Oh, it's so nice that someone else is a Christian." That she was so desperate just to find someone who was open about their faith and not hiding it. And it was a beautiful friendship, but to me it was also very sad and indicative of the culture that it was around. And when I left Nerdfighteria, when I unsubscribed to the Vlog Brothers, was when I noticed John use his platform to start bringing in political candidates, local political candidates who are running for Senate, and telling these 16, 17, 18-year-old teenagers that were his wide audience, here's why you should vote for them. Specifically because of very hot button topic issues like abortion. And again, this isn't a debate about pro-choice or pro-life, but it bothered me that someone who was so influential towards really young, formidable minds would use his platform to blatantly push an issue that's very complex, as he was someone who these teenagers essentially blindly trusted. That felt sickening to me. And it would be equally as sickening if he was pushing a different issue, like someone who was very, very, very pro-capitalism and pro-business. I would say, well, hold on. There is a different side to this argument. Maybe you shouldn't be pushing this so aggressively and blatantly telling these kids who just got old enough to vote, who have been watching you for years, you need to go vote for this candidate. It felt gross. I felt myself being pushed an agenda and being taken advantage of, and that's when I left the fandom, formally. And I just want everyone here to know that we're really lucky. We're already on a good wavelength with each other because we're able to communicate with each other really well. And part of that's because we're all fans of Andy. We came to Andy not because of Screen Junkies, but because we believed in the evidence and we believed in redemption and we believe that somebody who's made mistakes can be a better person and that it's important that real evidence be taken seriously. So right now, truthfully, my honest opinion, I don't care about the Snyder Cut. I don't care about this DC news. I really don't. And I truly wish that we would focus on something more fun or something more something more uplifting. But that's not the direction that we want to go, apparently, and that's fine. So I just want to make sure that here in our Discord, we're all really being positive and there for each other. And I don't think it's necessary to engage with these people who are spreading this really hateful language, because clearly, again, to them, it's a cult, it's a religion. They don't have a faith of their own in country, family, themselves, in God. So their faith is in Zack Snyder. This movie will come out. And to them, this cut needs to exist. Because if it doesn't exist, then they watched all these shitty movies. They watched all these other Zack Snyder films that didn't work out. They need to believe, no, it's only because of the company. It's only because of these people high up, and the Snyder cut will be better. And by saying, no, it doesn't exist, it's not happening, we're destroying their beliefs. And they're not reacting logically. They're reacting emotionally. They're reacting with hatred. They're being a religious zealot. For those of you who don't know, zealot is actually a term from the Bible. It was actually a classification of a type of Jewish priest in ancient times. The zealots were very zealous about their faith and how they practiced. And for those of you who don't know, a cult is not actually a broad term. It's a very specifically well-defined term. A cult is a faith or practice or set of beliefs that emphasizes very specific sets of behavior and practices and outcasts and lashes out at those who are outside of the faith or criticize the faith. There are blatant cults that we know about, like drinking the Kool-Aid down in Jonestown. There is the Hare Krishnas that did the largest attack of bioterrorism on American soil, that when they spread E. coli. These are ones that we are well aware of. And all of these cults started out as, for Jonestown, this is an outlet for you to be in a collective, something that you will be accepted and you will be a worker. It emphasized Marxist ideals. For the Hare Krishnas, it emphasized that Eastern philosophy of meditation and cleansing, and again, hard work, hard labor. And obviously, somewhere it went bad. And there are other ones that are still debated amongst theologians, like Scientology. Scientology, I would say, is definitively a cult, as they have the telltale signs of outcasting the non-believers, attacking the non-believers, cutting off all ties from those who leave the church. They also have one of the records for largest attempt of domestic terrorism on American soil, specifically with hacking, largest hacking record. Fun fact. So yeah, it's scary. When we use the word cult, we don't use it lightly. These cults have existed. They have risen up over the years in different places. And we may think, no, that's too far. Cults, that doesn't exist, but it does. And it always starts off with something good. It starts off with, well, we want to be a Marxist collective of hard workers, and we want to help the disenfranchised, the African Americans, the poor. Or it starts off with Eastern philosophy. We want you to be centered. We want you to learn from this guru. We want you to learn how to meditate. Or it starts with, well, you don't understand. There are these thetans that are surrounding you, and they're the negative energy that's surrounding you, and it's all a part of this alien force, and you can extrude that alien force within you. It sounds good, but what's underneath is a problem. And it may sound ridiculous to you to compare a movie with that, but truthfully, that's all it takes. All it takes is somebody believing the Snyder Cut has to exist, to have people really sending death threats, to have people really saying you deserve to die because that is their faith, to people who criticize or acknowledge the fact that there's no evidence that this movie exists. I want us all to stay aware. I want us all to stay vigilant. You don't need to go on Twitter and attack these people. You don't need to reasonably debate with these people. There is no reasoning. We simply need to acknowledge what an unhealthy fandom, what a cult looks like, and say no to it.